Leading from the front, their skipper for this World Cup, Sonatane Takalua, leading that challenge on the bench tonight, as the Tongans prefer Agustin Pulu at scrum half. So the two sides for you, South Africa fielding Nche, Fourie and Koch in the front row. Dion Fourie with his first test start at hooker, remember. Etzebeth and Ori in the second row. Kolisi, Vermeulen and Visa forming a fearsome back row. Reinak and Andre Pollard drafted back in at fly half. Mapimpi on the left wing, Williams on the right, Esterhazen and Moody in the centres with Willie Leroux at fullback. Tonga fielding Fizihoy, Nguamo and Tamifuna in their front row. Fifita and Lausi, the two locks, with Halefanua, Talitui and Paya in their back row. Pulu and Havili, their half-backs. Tuetavaki and Inisi, the two new wingers that they've drafted in for tonight, with Aki and Fekitoa in the centres. And Charles Piutau at fullback. Tremendous talent. Hasn't played at a World Cup until here in France this year. Capped by New Zealand some 8 years ago, and needing to bring all of his magic to bear tonight as we prepare for kickoff. The first meeting between these two, incidentally, for 16 long years. They met in Lens in 2007 at the World Cup. South Africa only just squeaked it. 5 points the difference. They trailed early in the second half, and Jake White, who was the head coach at the time, had to send on the cavalry. I guess the early incarnation of the bomb squad, the likes of Habana, Frank Steyn, Victor Matfield, John Smith, they all had to go on to sort the match out and get the result for the Springboks, who of course went on to win the final in 2007 against England in Paris. Our referee tonight is Luke Pearce, assisted by Matthew Carley and Christoph Ridley, and our TMO is Brett Cronin of Australia. We're ready to go. First blast on the whistle from Luke Pearce. Tonga playing from right to left in the first half, and the ball has gone loose and not claimed cleanly by the South Africans. Cobus Reinak immediately clapping his hands as if to muster the troops and say, come on, we've got to switch on right from the word go. It's dribbled its way into touch, and it will be a Tongan line out just inside the South African 22. Not the most auspicious of starts for the defending champions, Dick.
No, pretty slack, probably quite nervous, but he missed that kickoff by at least 2 feet, which was embarrassing to a certain extent.
Marvin Auri going up to try and gather that in. Instead, it's a Tongan line out. It's claimed by Fifita, and Pulu is feeding it on to Peter Aki just inside the South African 22 as they rumble forwards through Tamifuna, this giant of a man, all 145 kilograms of him, but the ball has been stolen, but not before the South Africans have infringed the offside line. Offside. That's gone against Samisi Paya, against Jasper Visa, and as a consequence there are 3 straightforward points on offer here for the Tongans.
Post.
And Tamifuna, the skipper, suggests that they'd like those, please.
Well, as you said, Tamifuna, the tight head prop, huge man, just taking it up down the middle. Very, very powerful, very difficult to stop. He's fresh, plays his rugby in France, so he can scrum, and he knows his job.
12 offside, isn't it?
He's got his hands full tonight.
He's got his hands full tonight. I think the wonderful thing about Ben Tamifuna, quite apart from seeing such a giant man on the loose, is that he's got wonderful footwork as well. He moves incredibly well for such a big man.
Extremely agile for someone who doesn't miss breakfast.
Said with feeling, Dick. Here we are then, the first chance of points tonight, and perhaps surprisingly it's gone the way of Tonga, and William Havili steps up left-footed and drills it through the middle from just to the left of the post. Tonga on the board. They lead South Africa by 3 points to 0. Just 2 minutes gone, and the red and the white of Tonga is on full display around the stadium here this evening. Coached, of course, by Totai Kefu, a World Cup winner himself with Australia back in the day. And a man of enormous experience. He's been with this squad for a long time. Tonga looking to clear their lines from the 22. Instead, it's picked up by Visa, who is a force of nature when he's allowed to be in that back row. And of course, they're fielding Vermeulen at open side, or rather the number 7 shirt, of course, the South African blind side, really. But huge power in that back row as they work it wide into the 15-metre channel on the left, just beyond the Tongan 10-metre line. And they're threatening the line through Vili Leroux. Now putting a little bit of width on the ball. Dion Fourie is caught in possession. Tonga have a fallen foul of Luke Pearce's whistle.
I think they're coming back for the offside.
Number 9's on the wrong side to start with. 4's fine, but 9's in the road.
Yeah, it was number 9. Just
If 9 moves out the way back,
pushing his luck a wee bit, getting quick off the blocks.
Augustin Pulu is the man who's been penalised, and as a consequence the South Africans work their way deep inside the Tongan 22 for a line out 7 metres out of the try line. And a little bit of pressure here on Dion Fourie, winning his 10th cap tonight for South Africa. His first start at hooker for anybody, for any club or country, for 5 years. He's landed the first blow in finding Marvin Auri, and now it's with Fourie, and it's whipped away by Ryanak and held back in defence, and Kane and Moody can't get on top of it. But again, Tonga have infringed, and I think they've come in at the side, and away goes Ryanak, and Ryanak is hurtling into the corner for the first try of the match, catching everybody unawares. Tonga were asleep. Cobus Ryanak was wide awake, and he's got the wheels. We know that about this man. He's been scoring tries for fun. He loves a World Cup match. Doesn't have too many opportunities to start for South Africa, but my goodness me, when he does, he sure as heck makes the most of it. First try on the board, Ryanak for South Africa. They lead by 5 points to 3.
Well, very quick thinking by Ryanak here. He could see the opportunity, took the quick tap, and just flew. As Ali said, he's one of the quickest players in the South African team, despite being scrum half. My goodness, he can scuttle.
Remarkable player.
Can easily play on the wing, that guy. No problem at all.
They've got a raft of 9s who could play on the wing, and in fact they do have a scrum half on the wing tonight in Grant Williams, nominally a scrum half, but now 2 starts here at the World Cup on the wing. Here's Pollard, first kick of his World Cup, and the South Africans will be delighted with that, because he's nailed it from just a couple of metres in from the right-hand side of touch, and that is very good news for the Springboks, because of course they fell foul of the Irish in Paris, at least in part on account of the fact they could not kick anything from the tee.
Well, they did. I think they lost. They left 11 points out on the field, and you don't do that in a big test match against somebody like Ireland, who kicked everything that night.
So South Africa leading 7-3. 5 minutes gone, and Jasper Wiese colliding with Sam Lausi on the South African 22 from the restarts. Live here on rugbyworldcup.com, the official World Cup app as well. You can listen to us through the match centre there, and on BBC 5 Sports Extra. Good evening to you wherever you're listening around the world. The defending champions up against the Tongans in Pool B. And just to put Pool B in a little bit of perspective for you, Ireland on 14 points currently with a huge points margin of plus 122. South Africa with 10 plus 86, and Scotland also on 10 plus 97. So that Ireland-Scotland game absolutely massive, of course, next weekend in Paris. Tonga with line-out ball and possession here just inside the South African half, and Inisi is cut down to size but keeps the ball alive very effectively, and in goes Pulu to fish it out, and they rumble up through some of their heavy forwards. Havili trying to suck in some defenders here, and tackle is made by Dion Fourie, goes in to try to jackal for possession of the ball, still with Tonga, and they're around about 10 metres out from the 22-metre line. A bit of a rumble on here from Fizzy Hoy with his flamboyant haircut. He's got dark hair but a bleach blonde mullet only. Tamifuna reaches over to try to keep that ball alive, and it's carried up by Paya, and it's loose, and Mapimpi's onto it, and he's hacked it forwards, and then it's booted into touch by Peter Aki, but not before it's gone forwards from South Africa. And Tonga will have a scrum on the South African 10-metre line 7 or 8 metres in from
don't look at pushing the ball in, okay?
the Tongan right.
It's a little bit unstructured by Tonga there. Got themselves in a bit of a pickle. Basically staying too flat, not enough depth on the attack. They've got to work very, very hard at this breakdown because there are so many good players in South Africa's team who are good on the floor, great at the jackling. So they need support there very quickly, and they don't need to spill the ball in contact. Not to people like Mapimpi, who can run like the wind.
Yeah, they need to treasure their possession, don't they? As the two packs head down to face each other. Tonga with a fairly significant weight advantage, it must be said.
That's just in the front row.
Is that Ben Tamafuna on his own? It might be. Quite possibly. Fearsome scrummager playing his rugby with Bordeaux. And up against Oxenche on that South African loose head. Tonga have secured possession from the scrum, and here's Aki trying to bring in Charles Pietau. He sends it wide. Lovely ball for Tuatavuki. He's brought down very effectively by Grant Williams, just outside the South African 22. Pulu fishing in there to grab possession of the ball. South Africa not rolling away from the tackled player.
Not rolling away to begin with.
Gone against Jasper Visser, I think, and on that basis, a wonderful attacking position this for the Tongans.
Well, you know, they got it wide, Tonga. They got it to Tuatavuki, and there was no suspicion of a sidestep. I mean, it was just straight through the man. They're going to be very, very physical. You're going to be sore when you play Tonga.
Havili, left-footed, puts it into touch, 6 metres out from the South African try line, and they will attempt the catch and drive. The line-out has not been functioning well for them here, only at 50% at this World Cup, and of course that goes in stark contrast to the South African set piece. They're operating at 87%, and they've got the most steals of anybody here at the World Cup. But Tonga go to the front, and they work a nice little move through the middle of the line out effectively, and now they're camped just 2 metres out, driven on by Lausi, and waiting over the ball is Taletui, driven up by Halafanua now, just a metre away from the South African try line. Only breached once at this World Cup in 3 matches. Still Tonga drive. South Africa manning the barricades. Pulu waits. Tamafuna is shut down early by Vermeulen, and the ball has gone loose. I think South Africa have scrambled possession back somehow or other, flinging their bodies at the on-rushing Tongans, and Reinach is poised over the ball now, looking to provide a little bit of calm. South Africa have carried it back, so they need to take care of the ball here. Oh! Luke Pearce is awarded the put into the scrum to Tonga, 5 metres out.
Well, I was just about to say, fantastic defence by South Africa to keep Tonga at bay there. But the Tongans, and fair play to them.
It's a no arms tackle by number 7, no quick. Number 7, no arms tackle on the side of the ruck.
That's Vermeulen, who's been penalised
for a no arms tackle. But great play by Tonga to keep the pressure on and keep South Africa in their own dead ball area.
And they don't want the points. They're right underneath the post. They want scrums.
Well, if you had these cupcakes as props, you'd have to go for a scrum, wouldn't you? They look very comfortable in the scrummage, I have to say.
To this point, they absolutely do. And that's saying something up against Nche, Fourie and Koch. Vincent Koch hasn't played a great deal of rugby in recent times. He was a late withdrawal from the match against the Romanians. It's his first test start for 4 years. And Nche, of course, is part of the so-called bomb squad, usually comes off the bench. Fourie, inexperienced at hooker. Maybe the Tongans think they're going to have a right crack at them from here.
Well, they're probably squeezing him. We're just having a real close look through the binoculars here, and we'll see whether they put the real squeeze on him.
The scrum is good. Payar gives it out. Pietau's in the line. In comes Fekitoa at short range, former All Black. Pulu gathers, feeds on to Lausi. He's driven back in the tackle. 5 metres out from the try line here. Fizzy Hoy for Tonga. Sets the ball up. And they just need a little bit of organisation and some accuracy to get them over the line. But That statistic is a significant one. The South African defence is as good as it gets. Tamafuna again is launched to within 5 metres of the try line. South Africa leading Tonga by 7 points to 3. Aki into the line, brought down well by Moody, still 5 metres away. Now they're a bit closer, but once more South Africa have strayed offside. There'll be another penalty coming. There might be a card soon.
Still advantage Tonga.
Given the penalties that the Springboks are giving up so close to their try line. Once again, it's Tamafuna on the carry. Terrific stuff this from Tonga. Crossfield kick into the in-goal area. Oh, just in front of Inisi. It was a little bit overcooked, but always with the penalty advantage. And they're going to take that penalty from 5 metres out, 15 metres in from their left-hand side, you would think. And South Africa struggling to contain the Tongans at the moment.
Yes, they are. They were under incredible pressure there, South Africa. They tend to up their defence, don't they, South Africans, when they're down in their 5 metre zone there and just out from the try line. They really do tackle. And these Tongans showed great patience, great discipline by just keeping the ball and keep pounding away with the real heavies that they've got. Very unlucky not to score a try.
Straight through the fingertips of Willie Leroux.
He doesn't make mistakes like that normally.
Extraordinary, really. Huge experience. First water break for these two sides, and Luke Pearce now wants to crack on. It's still a very warm evening in Marseille. It's been an extremely hot day. As I said right at the start of this programme, you would consider it to be a little bit cooler now we're into October, but it's been very warm and it's still quite muggy. So another penalty to the Tongans. What's the choice here from Ben Tamafuna? There's a bit of a decision to be made, and that there is also the small matter of the ball, which is going to be needed by someone somewhere. Havili is provided with it, and that's interesting. It looks as if he's going to tuck it into touch for the catch and drive, which it seems like an odd decision to me, Dick.
Well, with their track record of a 50% success rate at the line out, you'd have to say it's odd, especially as their scrummage is so powerful.
Well, they worked it quite nicely at the front, didn't they, last time around? This time it's a more conventional line out. The ball is secure, and Tamafuna's on the front peel at some pace, but he's been stopped in his tracks and driven into touch. And I think that ball is going to be awarded to South Africa from here. Matthew Carley, who's running the line here on this near side touchline. Yeah, the arm is finally outstretched in a South African direction.
Tonga, numbers.
And
he's gone, that's good.
So I'm not sure how smart that was from Tonga. However, Fourie finds Etzebeth in the line out, and the Tongans try to claw their way over the top. I think they may. Have they given up the advantage? Maybe not. South Africa, though, have the ball 5 metres out from their try line, and I think they'll be considerably happy to see this ball sail into touch from the boot of Cobus Reinach, as it does at a relatively fine angle. Not giving them too much breathing space. They're still inside their 22 just about.
Yeah, we're looking a little bit shaky there. It looked like Etzebeth, who lost contact with the ball. There's big shouts whether it was going to go forward, but a bit of a wasted possession by Tonga here.
If they
Coming around the front of the line, you've got to score those tries, and you don't want to get bowled into touch like that.
So another line out for the Tongans. Once again, it's secured. It's picked up by Talatui, and they're giving Peter Aki a little run in the midfield. The ball now taken on by Havili, who's met well by Vincent Koch on the 22-metre line. Tonga looking to rebuild here. Halaleva Fifita, who is the older brother of Vaya, who received a 4-match ban for a red card a little earlier in the tournament. Lausi this time is driven back behind the gain line, and the Tongans are operating almost on the 10-metre line now, but lovely pass out to Mguamo, who's tiptoeing down this touchline and then running into Cobus Reinach and Eben Etzebeth, and that generally only ends one way. Once more, South Africa back in possession. Oh, hello. It was kicked into touch by a South African player, so the Tongans retain the ball.
They've got to keep away from the sidelines, Tonga. You know, they're finding themselves getting pushed into touch. and giving away possession, but they're lucky enough that this came off the foot of a South African, and they've managed to keep the line out. Let's see if they can retain possession here.
So here's Nguamo, plays his rugby with Castres, who spent 9 seasons in the French club rugby system. The ball is whipped away from the line out, and Aki brings in Hala Fainua just outside the South African 22. Slick handling, miles over the top they go. Inisi's clear. Inisi inside the 22, tap tackle to the ground, keeps it alive somehow or other, and Tonga keep the motion moving through Lausi, 6 metres away. Pulu for Hala Fainua again. He's getting through a mountain of work on the carry. He might have been turned in the tackle, and that's a penalty to South Africa. Well, that is a fantastic bit of work from Dwayne Vermeulen.
Brilliant piece of work on the ground.
Warning earlier on about pushing the ball into the player to buy the penalty. On this occasion, you have laid on the tackler to keep him in there. Please don't. No. Please do not buy penalties.
Well, he don't have
no, we can't have 2 warnings for it. Please.
Okay, you got me there.
Yeah, you got me there.
No, he can't trap him in there.
You got me there, says Siegfried Fizihoy. And if he's looking to do this incognito, he's probably the wrong man for that, because he's the guy with the bleached mohawk.
Yeah. Only a prop would come out with that, wouldn't he? You got me there.
It was a lovely move to free up Inisi down that right flank.
It was magnificent. What the Tongas have done, they've recognised the South African defence where they defend from out to in, and there's space on the wide wings. If you can put the ball in front of the player, and Inisi there ran onto it. It was fantastic play, great pass.
Line-out ball is won by Vermeulen, who of course secured that penalty for South Africa by turning the tackled man in his direction once he'd hit the deck, and they cleared play up to the 10-metre line. Reinach breaks, and Esterhuizen is set free up to halfway. Absolute powerhouse in the centres. Pollard goes to the heavens. Grant Williams chasing, so too Willie Leroux. It's claimed instead by Tuatabuki of Tonga. Oh, the ball just loose there for a moment. I think South Africa might have snaffled it. They have, and there are options here. Willie Leroux moves it on to Vermeulen, who rides the contact, sets up the ruck. In goes Grant Williams to secure possession of the ball. Surely Tonga offside there through Fafita. Yep, there's the penalty. Given up, confirmed by Luke Pearce. Kainan Moody running onto the ball, and Moody stretches his legs and eases past the defenders to go under the post for South Africa's second. Just a momentary lapse of concentration in the Tongan midfield, and the ball hitting the deck, Dick, which is so often a matter of great confusion to defending sides.
Well, it is. When the ball hits the ground, there's a tendency for defending players to stop and wait for the referee's whistle. And Tonga, I'm afraid, are guilty of that. But my goodness, this boy,
Kainan
Moody, he is such a silky runner. He just beats people with greatest of ease. He reminds me of Jeremy Guscott, way he glides.
I was just about to mention that name. There is a very Guscott-esque manner to the way he runs. Incredibly elegant, and the acceleration as he swept onto that ball and then hit the outside arc to go past Inisi. Glorious stuff.
Well, yeah, apparently he's a winger by trade, but it came off Vincent Koch's shoulder, didn't go forward, and he made it look easy, didn't he, when he got a bit of space.
So 20 minutes gone. Kainan Moody with his 5th try for South Africa. The 20-year-old from the Western Cape making his mark here tonight in Marseille. And the South Africans leading by 14 points to 3. Given the scoreline, you would have expected them to have had the bulk of possession and territory. Not a bit of it. All the possession, almost all of it, has been Tongans.
Been a fantastic effort so far.
64% of possession for Totai Kefu's men, and really they've just been hit twice out of the blue.
Yes. Simple errors, the error was by South Africa off someone's shoulder, but simple errors, and it's 14 points.
And the clearance from just outside the 22 from Reinach, allowing Tonga to cling on to the ball here and have a line out just outside South Africa's 22. South Africa 14, Tonga 3. Reinach and Moody for the defending champions. Here's Nguamo playing in his third World Cup. Bit of interference in the line-out from Khaleesi, making the scrappy ball for Tonga. Almost on their 10-metre line, and again carried up by Tamafuna, who has been the designated carrier at close quarters.
Good effort, Tam.
As Pollard rolls out of the way of the tackle. In comes Fakatoa to set the ball up. And Havili dabs this forwards, swept up by Willie Leroux. He offloads it nicely to Mapimpi. Little bit of space here for Mapimpi, and then the door closes firmly by Samisi Paya and Halaleva Fifita. Excellent tackle from those two. Reinach burrowing in there. Little pod of forwards waiting for possession. Here's Vincent Koch.
Hold in front,
Comes
please. Stop.
for Pollard. He's played so little rugby recently. He goes high and sends it into Tongan territory, and Havili gathers it. And Havili is then well met by Kanan Moody.
Just accidental.
And he's run into his own man.
Preventing the tackle.
Yes, the South Africans not using as much of the high ball as I thought they would today, but on that occasion they managed to force Tonga into a bit of an error, running into their own man on the counter-attack, giving away possession, really.
Interesting to watch Handré Pollard return to international rugby. Dick, this is his first test for more than a year. A late call-up, of course, on account of Malcolm Marx's exit through a knee injury. Slightly unusual choice to replace a hooker with a 10, but of course they I think recognised that they needed his kicking skills, illustrated by that Irish match.
And fair play to them. You know, they've clearly put their hands up, South Africa, and said, right, you know, we're gonna fast track Pollard, because we can't play test matches, big test matches, without a first choice goal kicker, someone who's up in the sort of 90%.
It's a sensible policy, you would think, but I do repeat again, he's played almost no rugby for the last few months. Half an hour for the Tigers against the Sale Sharks in the Premiership Cup a couple of weeks ago, and before that, no start since early May for Leicester. So he's lacking game time, but he's been training with them for the last week or two, and he's straight into the thick of the action here tonight. South Africa 14, Tonga 3 in Pool B on rugbyworldcup.com, through the World Cup app, and on BBC 5 Sports Extra this evening. The ball is there for Reinach. Out it comes for Pollard. Williams dancing left and right and working those feet, but he's caught by the shirt and dragged down to the ground by Malachi Fakatoa. Reinach for Visa on the 10-metre line of Tonga. Then once more to the boot. An interesting option. It's bobbling around the Tongan 22, picked up by Pietau. He throws it out of the back door in rather cavalier fashion, and there's plenty to do here for Tuatavuki, who makes it up to the 22-metre line, bang in the middle of the field. They could do with some light relief here, and Pietau does the necessary via the boot, hoofs it away into touch, not quite up to the 10-metre line.
Yeah, a pretty good exit by Pietau. He understands the game. You do not want to be playing in your own half. And to a certain extent, you know, Tonga have been very good at this so far in the game. 25 minutes gone, and you know, they're in control of the game to a certain extent as far as territory is concerned.
So another line out to the South Africans. Fourie picks out Ari, man who's joining Perpignan after the World Cup. They've got an advantage here, South Africa, after the Tongans tried to hit the man a little early. Here's Esterhuizen. Loves the contact, barrels his way into Halafanua. Not enough of an advantage in the eyes of Luke Pearce, so penalty to South Africa. Pollard will tuck this deep into the Tongan 22.
Yeah, Esterhuizen doing what he does for Harlequins every week, and that's take the ball up, straighten the line, get over the gain line, make life easier for everybody else.
A little bit of contact in the air as Auri tried to claim possession of the ball. And there is a South African line out now, 7 metres out from Tonga's try line. Lots of options available. No competition in the air this time. Once again, it's Auri who gathers it for the Springboks, and Dion Fourie grasps the ball, and he's the tail gunner of this meaty-looking maul. They've been driven to a halt. Now they work it to the left. A little bit of assistance from Reinach, who's watching carefully, the eyes and the ears. Still they move the ball. Tonga seem to have brought the ball down, and Luke Pearce awards them the put-in. So someone of a Tongan persuasion had long enough arms to get right in amongst it. It might have been Fifita, I think, and they've disrupted that maul.
Fantastic spoiling work by the Tongan forwards, who are getting stuck into everything that's going. You would expect South Africa to score tries from that 5-metre line-outs, and brilliant work by Tonga. Great technique, body positions fantastic, and they at the end of the day there was enough arms in there to prevent the quick release or for a try being scored. Fabulous work.
Yeah, hard to know exactly who to credit on account of the massed bodies.
All of them, Alan.
Yeah, let's give them a collective pat on the back.
Yeah, very much so. Even the peroxide prop.
Well, we got lots of outstanding fancy dress in the stadium here tonight, and another wonderful atmosphere. Every time we've been here in Marseille, it's been jam full. Fans have been singing their hearts out. In goes the ball at scrum time for Tonga, through Augustin Pulu, and then off the outside edge of the Havili boot, and that is providing South Africa with a second opportunity from a very similar position now, 7 metres out from the try line. It was sliced off the outside edge.
Yeah, Havili raises his hands to his forwards, who just scrummaged their lives out to produce the ball for him. And there he goes, kicking it off his ligament.
So, can the South Africans be a little bit more clinical? Here they use a switch drive move with Khaleesi involved. In comes Visa, it's there for Reinach. Out it comes for Esterhuizen. Pollard is on the loop and riding the contact. It's there for Reinach again. Out it comes for Willie Leroux. Mapimpi switching back against the grain. 6 metres out from the try line. Reinach once again probing through the forwards. Just seems a little bit loose from South Africa, who could probably do with driving it up the guts a little bit first up, and they've done that through Vincent Koch. And here comes Oxen Che, and back we go for the entry of Samisi Paya.
Well, we've not been in this position too often.
Hello, mate. Just might want to check something in.
Brett Cronin is involved, our TMO.
Go ahead, Brett.
Luke, we need to have a look at the actions of Tonga number 9, who makes head-on-head contact with 14 green.
Okay. Put the image on the screen, please.
That's Augustin Pulu with Grant Williams. And we're going to get a replay of that on the
Luke,
big screen.
here's your first camera angle.
And there's a picture of Mapimpi going to ground, which I'm not entirely sure that's what we're looking for. It's actually, they've got the wrong player, haven't they?
Okay, so Matt.
It's Pulu on Mapimpi.
It is foul play because it's head-on-head contact, but we're just going to decide it's enough for a yellow because he's falling to his knees to begin with. So the number 9 here, look, head-on-head contact, but he's not high danger. Yeah, so Brett, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Luke.
So we had a look at it, mate. We're not on high danger. It is foul play because it's head contact, but I don't feel this is enough for a yellow card. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, no problems with that, mate.
Okay, let me know when you're back, please.
You're on screen now.
Just a penalty, head contact.
Augustin Pulu, who was, it was an absorption tackle mostly, wasn't it, Dick? And you can always dip lower, hence the penalty that will be given up here. But I think
that's how you referee.
It feels like the right decision.
These type of head-on-head collisions that sometimes are just rugby incidents, and you've got to go with it. Otherwise, we're going to end up with sort of 14 red cards a game. You've just got to be so careful. The way he's handled that, the referee Pearce, I think, is just brilliant. It's brilliant for the game. He's worked it out.
Interestingly,
and has done the right thing, but he's gone off for a head injury assessment.
Yeah, an HIA
for
Mapimpi. So Jesse Creel is on in his place for the time being. Meanwhile, South Africa have whacked it into the corner, and they are attempting another catch and drive. They would dearly love to get over the line here from this position because they botched a couple of opportunities. Here's Kolisi with Furi for company, and the ball is being worked to the tail. Tonga give up another advantage. In goes Vincent Koch and drives hard towards the line, and Vermeulen is in amongst it as well. It's there now for Reinach, and he flicks the ball out, and Esterhuizen always lost it forwards, and back we go for another South African penalty.
Yeah, it was a penalty, side entry by number 6, Halafanua.
Oh, Reinach wants to do that cheeky little trick of his again, and this time Luke Pearce wants to call him back.
So hang on, please. That was for more entry.
You've got to watch Reinach, haven't you? Every time there's a penalty.
Right, if you need a minute, quickly then.
That's
Cobus, you can't go quick when I'm talking to him.
There you go. That's the key. You've got to make sure the referee isn't engaged in conversation with the opposition while you take the quick tap. That's all.
Exactly.
Otherwise, fill your boots.
Happened in France a while ago, didn't it, with England?
It certainly did. And there are a number of teams who've been very carefully checking with the referee that they can have their moment to talk to their defenders on account of the fact that they have to be so ready for the nines particularly to tap and go and get the job done.
Yeah. I think Luke Pearce now is probably one of the best 3 referees in the world, if not the best.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Who's receiver, South Africa?
Very high-class communicator, which of course is the absolute key to everything here. You've got to develop some sort of relationship with the players and empathy for what they're trying to achieve, and an understanding that they need to abide by the laws. South Africa here with another catch and drive from 5 metres out, leading by 14 points to 3. 31 minutes on the clock. Dion Fourie is waiting to see what might be mustered from this drive, and they are moving forward, South Africa. It's looking good for Fourie as Grant Williams moves across, but he won't see the ball. They've kept it tight, they've driven it over, and they've got the try, and it is Dion Fourie who scores his second international try. And South Africa extend their lead here in Marseille to 19 points to 3 with the conversion to come.
Yeah, classic 5-metre line-out drive. Great body positions by the South African forwards. And they just inch by inch drove their way to the line. Tremendous technique. Cobus Reiner right at the back of the maul, directing operations. Good try. You'd have to say they're not far off unstoppable from there, are they?
Taken a little bit of time to get it done, not least on account of the sterling work from the Tongan defence, but 3 line-outs close to the try line. You would think at some point that was inevitable. So Pollard settles himself here from 12 metres in from the right-hand side of touch. Once again he lands the conversion, and South Africa now lead by 21 points to 3. I just wonder what will happen on the goal-kicking front when they come to the meat of this tournament, when they come to a potential quarter-final against the French. Do they pick Pollard at 10 because he's so reliable from the tee, or do they go with Manie Libbok, who has been so good in all other aspects of his game and of course offers just that little bit more by way of an attacking threat?
Well, Libbok has been fabulous so far, but you can just see Pollard easing his way into this first team, this South African first 15, because he kicks the goals. You know, he keeps turning it into 7 points, and before long 21-3. The game is going South Africa's way.
Reinach with the box kick. It's tapped back on its way by Peter Aki. Havili tries to bring players in, and he's just lobbed that directly into touch, but not before I think it's gone forwards from the South Africans in the first instance. So Tonga off the hook to some extent, and with 6.5 minutes to the half-time whistle, they could do with some points just to help their mental state, if nothing else, because it's going to be very hard work to live with this South African side in the final quarter, particularly when you consider, as ever with the South Africans, Dick, their bench, the likes of Libbok, of Kriel, of Kwagga Smith, of Franco Mostert, of Marco van Staden, and Stephen Kitsoff.
There's another wave of world-class players coming on the field, isn't there, before long. I just feel sorry for Tonga. You know, they just need to take some of their chances. This could have been a very different game by now. They probably left three tries out there in the first half.
Please don't go head on him. Let him in. Come on then, let's go.
Discussion time between the two front rowers, and another thing I really like about Luke Pearce, he doesn't let players linger. He wants the game to move forwards at all times, and give two sets of 8 forwards the chance of a breather. They'll take it all day long. We need to see this ball in play as much as possible.
Very much so. I think he's a very, as you said, a very, very good communicator. But he's managing these 2 packs of forwards. We haven't seen one bit of aggressive, nasty play so far in this game, and it's a credit to him. He's got complete control of the game, and I think the players respect him. You know, that's clear.
Huge scrum from South Africa. Tonga under a huge amount of pressure, but they've got the ball. Pitaraki also under pressure in the midfield. Brave work by Pulu on halfway. Somehow Tonga retained possession. The attempted intercept from Willie LaRue. Then it's gone forwards, and they're in front of the ball upon regathering. So that's a penalty to Tonga. All a bit scrappy, and Willie LaRue just offering one or two opinions to...
So knock on by 12.
I think Sione Talatui on that occasion.
Looked like words of advice to me.
The second one went forwards.
Like, don't push me.
Well, a chance here for Tonga with 4 minutes to go to the break. They can put this as close to the 5-metre line as Havili can muster and attempt the catch and drive. He's got it close. He's got it very close. It is within 5 metres. That's an excellent kick. He didn't have a great angle to work with there, Dick.
No, he didn't. It was an outstanding kick. He's fluffed a couple today, but that one.
Okay.
Let's hope Tonga take full advantage of this and try and get some points on the board, because they deserve it.
Sorry, South Africa 21, Tonga 3. 4 minutes to play in this first half. Nguamo to the tail, where it's gathered brilliantly by Tonga, and now they are camped 5 metres out from the try line. The rumble from Frizzy Hoy, driven backwards, but now Nguamo makes ground, and the pick and goes come thick and fast for the Tongans. Once again they drive tight to the line. Furi does his level best to at least slow up possession. He's in danger of giving up the penalty, has to move away from the ball. And Fizzy Hoy is in there trying to protect the ball for Tonga. Once again, I think they're going to go tight. This will not be seeing much daylight, you suspect. Still they wait. Tamifuna! Big Ben scores a big try for Tonga. The captain leading from the front. He's carried so hard in this first 40 minutes, and it's nothing less than Tonga deserve. They've had so much possession, so much territory, and until this point really had made nothing of it. But Ben Tamifuna has changed all that. South Africa 21, Tonga 8, and an eminently kickable conversion to follow.
Yeah, I'm so pleased. I mean, they've got something for their efforts in this first half. Tamifuna has been the outstanding Tongan ball carrier every time he's crossed the gain line. And here we see it from 2 or 3 metres out. He's virtually unstoppable at 140 kgs.
Terrific job by the captain, who scored in defeat against Scotland as well. He's been the mainstay here today. He's been the mainstay for Tonga for a few years now. He's only missed 3 test matches, would you believe, since the last World Cup. So he's incredibly durable, as well as being enormously effective from close range. So Havili kicked 11 points against the Irish a couple of weeks ago. This from 15 metres in from the left-hand side. Left-footed kicker, remember, so the preferred side, but he's hooked it. He's hooked it, and the score remains South Africa 21, Tonga 8. 90 seconds to play in this first half.
Shame he missed that, really. You know, they just, every point they can get, they need. Tonga, they deserve it. They've played most of the game in the South African half so far.
The restart from Pollard, claimed by Sam Losey, who plays his rugby with the Scarlets in Wales. Picked up by Tamafuna.
Inside.
And deciding that on this occasion he'll just gently ease himself to ground rather than
onside, please.
ask too many other questions inside the Tonga 22.
He's created quite a divot there.
And the ball is hacked away by Pulu into touch for a line out midway between the 10-metre line and the 22 to South Africa, who you sense would love to get this bonus point wrapped up in this first half, just
No more,
to
Tonga.
settle
No
a
more.
nerve or two. They would
No more, please.
make that the absolute minimum requirement really for tonight's efforts to move on top of Pool B with 15 points, but they need points as well to be absolutely sure and heap as much pressure as possible on the Irish. Here's Esterhuizen rampaging inside the 22. Quick ball for South Africa. Pollards moves it onwards to Moody. He sets the ball up. Reinach again, and they drive at close range. Visa head down. Again, the ruck is formed. It's there for Reinach once more, who rips the ball away and feeds Vincent Koch. Tonga struggling to hold this pressure. Esterhuizen again, big shot coming in on him. That was a terrific tackle from Halafanua. It really was magnificent. Another big tackle in the midfield as Reinach goes to ground. Back into position now and gets the ball away. It's picked up on the bounce. Rather surprised for Mullen, I think, to gather that, but the recycling is strong. Koch rumbles onwards. Quick ball again. On a nice line this time, Esterhuizen is doing a lot of carrying here. They're 7 metres out. Clock is in the red at the end of this first half. Etzebeth for South Africa. Reinach probing that short side. Nche is close. He's gone to within 3 metres. Etzebeth, the man left out. Creel feeds it away and the ball is intercepted by Piatau, who was waiting for that on the Tongan try line. And Tonga survive at the end of this first half. Magnificent defensive effort. They had to work so hard, and the ball is fired away high into the stands by Agustin Pulu. And the Tongans can be well pleased with their effort in that first 40. They really can. They can take so much credit from their stout defence at the back end of that half, Dick. Terrific job. They're hanging in. And at half-time, South Africa lead Tonga by 21 points to 8.
They are hanging in, and I think the word is guts. They're playing with enormous guts, and they're tackling their hearts out, and they're making South Africa work incredibly hard for their points. I think, a lot of people wrote this game up as, one-way traffic, but at the moment, I would say Tonga have had their fair share, and they deserve it. They deserve to have a few more points on the board.
Well, they've had the bulk of possession. It feels like they've had the bulk of the territory as well, doesn't it? And when you consider the South African tries that they've scored, other than the one from Dion Fourie from close range from the catch and drive, those series of line-outs that they had, Reinach, tap and go out of nothing, Tongans sleeping, and Kanan Moody bursting through off a ball that hit the deck just outside the 22. And again, they were caught rather unawares, but those tries a little bit fortuitous, if we're honest, for the Springboks.
Yeah, look, they haven't really created that much apart from that 5 metre driving line out. They're just they're rugby incidents where South Africa have taken advantage. Very quick thinking by Cobus Reinach, and he deserves his try. Wonderful opportunism, and he's one of these players deserves more game time in my view.
Yeah, he creates so much, doesn't he? Scorer of the 2 fastest hat-tricks at a Rugby World Cup in 2019. He scored 3 tries inside 19 minutes against the Canadians, and then here at this World Cup 24 minutes against the Romanians for his hat-trick. So he's a guy who makes things happen, and he was on the scoreboard after just 5 minutes for South Africa. Kanan Moody with their second on 20 minutes and Dion Fourie on 32. Ben Tamafuna striking back for Tonga. Fantastic to see him on the scoreboard. Fantastic to see Tonga rewarded at that point, Dick, because it was no less than they deserved.
No, without doubt. And Tamafuna, who's been one of the outstanding Tongan forwards so far that first half. The important thing now is they've got to go in, regroup, and just say, look, there's 40 minutes of our World Cup left here. We've got to really show the world that we've made huge advancements and that we can do something with the ball. Let's go out and give it everything we've got for the next 40.
South Africa 21, Tonga 8 at half-time here in Marseille. Earlier on today in Pool C, victory for the Australians against Portugal. The Wallabies, it must be said, made that look very, very difficult indeed. They won by 34 points to 14 in the end, which suggests a degree of comfort. They got the bonus point. I can tell you that it wasn't comfortable. They at one stage went down to 13 men, 2 men in the bin, and the Portuguese played with all their vigour and their verve and their excitement and their adventure. And of all the emerging nations, Dick, and we were lucky enough to see the Chileans play yesterday, putting up a really good fight against Argentina. Obviously, we've seen a number of teams rise to the occasion, but I would argue that the Portuguese, perhaps alongside the Uruguayans, have been the pick of those.
Oh, without doubt, pick of the bunch. They've really gone at size, and I don't know whether this is because they play on the Sevens circuit, and many of the Sevens players are, the current Portuguese Sevens players are in the 15-a-side World Cup squad, so they're not afraid. They're playing against top-class opposition all the time on the World Sevens circuit, so they're not afraid of playing against these big sides, and they've shown great pace and great skill, and I'm really proud of what they've achieved so far in this competition. It's been great. It's
been great, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they can do against Fiji, because they might be the kingmakers. It might sound fanciful that they could knock over Fiji, but the Fijians blow a little bit hot and cold, and they need just 1 point from that match, their final pool game, to progress the Fijians from Pool C behind Wales, who have already qualified. And that final match is between Fiji and Portugal. Australia have 11 points, Fiji have 10, but a superior points difference, so they would need just a single point from that match to progress and go through to a quarter-final against England in Marseille in a couple of weeks' time. So fascinating stuff to come. Don't forget, you can get involved in the conversation on social media. Use the hashtag RWC2023, and remember to give us a follow on all the official tournament social channels. You can find us at Rugby World Cup across all major platforms. And Rugby Pass TV, the exclusive home of the World Cup extended highlights. You can watch them all online at rugbypass.tv, or you can download the RPTV app. Now, this Springbok side, of course, are looking to repeat their exploits of 4 years ago. Dwayne Vermeulen was a massive part of that squad, as he is tonight, wearing the number 7 shirt. He's been part of this squad, a key part of it, for more than a decade now. Before this World Cup, another Springbok great, Jean de Villiers, travelled to Vermeulen's home just outside of Stellenbosch to talk life as a Springbok.
Growing up the Dorings, there's a rumour that you played your first rugby game in the Dorings and you ran out bare feet with a field that was full of snow. True story?
It's a true story, yes. So obviously I was born in Nelspruit, in the eastern part of South Africa, where it's really hot, and then my dad from this side moved down to the Cape, and we had a farm in a little town called Touwsrivier, and so went to school there, and yeah, obviously my first game in the Dorings. It is winter times. It was really cold. Nowadays it's a little bit different, but yeah, I ran out barefoot, and played in the snow. Halftime, you rub some deep heat under your feet, and that's that's about it. But it was it was good times, and that's where the love for the game started.
In 2009, you played against the British and Irish Lions, getting kind of a taste of international rugby. And post that, you were always part of the conversation of when Springbok selection came up. But it took you 4 years after that before you actually made your debut. That day, being selected. Talk about being selected for the squad initially, then the first test match against Australia. Must have been an extremely proud moment.
Yes, Jean. We were sitting there, and once I saw my name on television, I think my mom even took a picture of it, so it's still somewhere on her phone or in an album or something like that.
In the cloud.
Yeah, somewhere. But it was, what a feeling, man. It is something, that you would never really think of, but you hope to achieve it. But it's just surreal. It's yeah, oh, what a feeling.
You settle down in the starting team for the Boks. Next challenge, World Cup. We went to the World Cup in 2015, and I suppose the experience there wasn't the best one. The eventual results not the best one. What did you learn from that experience going to that World Cup?
Fortunately, we we lost against Japan in the first game.
Did that actually happen?
Yes, John.
Tatakawa. Murphy! Here we go! Hisketh! Carl Hisketh!
Playing in a World Cup, that's something you dream about, and had the opportunity, and it was fantastic. We played in the quarters against Wales and beat them, and then it was an ugly one against New Zealand in the semi, but still could have beaten them.
Let's get back to the quarterfinal first. You just flashed past it now, but talk us through that pass to Farida Priya to score the winning try in that quarterfinal. High pressure situation, not a planned move, and you just decided, okay, I'll flick it round the back.
Wales have to be stout. Vermeulen picks up and goes, slips it away to Farida Priya, and De Priya for the try. It was 8-9 to the try line, and South Africa are in front.
It's an interesting thing because during the week, it was actually a little bit further out. We had a chat about it. I think you were part of the conversation. We said on their 10 meters, the winger falls back so we can play into the blind and we'll make yards. And then obviously crunch time in the 22, and I think I just went with the wheel of the scrum, picked up, and I don't know who was the flanker, but he couldn't get me down, and I was handing off the one guy, and Cuthbert came in, and I just saw Fourie in the corner of my eye going to the touchline. I thought, I'm just going to chuck this ball and hopefully he catches it. And in the end, it actually all worked out. So it was good fun.
Yeah, just random playground exercise, chucking the ball, in the quarterfinal of a World Cup. Fast forward 4 years, and then it's the final of the World Cup. Could that test match, that World Cup final, could that have been played any better by the Boks?
Jean, it's sometimes just, individual skill, individual brilliance. First try, the no-looker pass from Lucanio, and then for those guys to finish it, it's just something different. It's creating small things out of nothing. It couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah, just as a spectator and as a fan, you look at that and you just think on the day it was just spot on. But after 80 minutes of rugby in a World Cup final, Duane Vermeulen emerges as man of the match in the biggest game of anyone's career. It
was really unexpected. I was lucky enough to maybe win 2 turnovers or something like that. You won't really say you're working.
Don't play for that.
You don't play for it. You want to win the World Cup final and you want to win the World Cup trophy. So you don't play for a man of the match trophy and award or something like that. But to walk away with it was, it's hard work put in, but I must say anyone in that team could have earned that trophy, and anyone could have received as an individual their own one, because they played such a massive part in that whole squad.
So that's Duane Vermeulen talking to Jean de Villiers about life as a Springbok, and a reminder that Vermeulen is in the back row for South Africa tonight as they lead Tonga by 21 points to 8 at half-time here in Marseille. And I would suggest, Dick Best, that the South Africans might be having a little word with themselves in this break. they will want to put on something of a show in this second half, don't you feel? And not necessarily just because of the pressure of the likes of New Zealand putting an avalanche of points on the Italians. They need to send a little bit of a statement at this stage, do they not? They lost to Ireland last time out. They're having a hard time handling this Tongan forward pack in particular, who's really sticking it to them.
Well, very much so. I mean, what we have at the moment is the possession stats are that Tonga have had the majority of possession in the first half, but we've seen nothing of Dwayne Vermeulen with the ball in hand, or Jasper Wiese. You know, they've been absent without leave. And Khaleesi, you know, they're not playing their traditional sort of pick and go driving game, big forwards running at Tonga and causing mayhem. So, you know, they've got to get their game together, and I bet you know, the South African coaches at half-time will be ramming it into them. Look, we've got to just get into our game plan, because at the moment we're just not playing. You know, we might be winning 21-8, but we're just not playing anywhere near our potential, and we've got to, because everybody else is going up a gear. New Zealand, you know, everybody's looking quite lethal.
Well, this is it. It's looking very much as if it'll be a quarter-final against the French for South Africa in a fortnight's time. They can't qualify today, but a bonus point win will mean that they're all but there, and they will heap the pressure on the Irish, and perhaps most specifically on the Scots, of course, who will need to beat Ireland and deny the Irish a losing bonus point to be able to have a chance of qualification. There are points difference questions as well to consider in this pool, because there is a scenario in which everybody ends up on 15 points, Ireland, South Africa and Scotland, and then it will come down to points difference. At the moment, the Irish have a points difference of plus 122. South Africa started tonight with plus 86, so they're now plus 107, and the Scots on plus 97. So all quite tightly packed together, which means that the Springboks would dearly love to put a load of points on the Tongans in this second period. The sides are out again, and South Africa are unchanged as far as I can see. Jesse Creel is on the field, and of course he came on for Makazole Mapimpi earlier on for a head injury assessment, and then Mapimpi returned. I'm not sure Mapimpi's out there again any longer, so I think that they've shifted Kanan Moody to the wing as Tonga are charged down inside the 22, and rather fortuitously it falls for Peter Aki, and he's released Pietau in the 22, and here's Inisi, who puts boot to ball very effectively downfield. One bounce into touch on the South African 10-metre line. Well then, calamity inside the 22 with a charge down kick, all ending up with space on the outside, and the line out inside South African territory.
Great work by Anisi, the winger, clearing his lines, getting out, good exit strategy, get it wide to the other wing, let him kick it out.
Line out then for the South Africans. Dion Fourie picks out Vermeulen in the middle of the line out, and the South Africans look to get the drive on. Fourie controlling things at the tail. In comes Vermeulen again, and Etzebeth joins, and they're trying to take the legs out of the Tongan forwards, I think, which is perhaps something they didn't do enough of in the first 40 minutes.
Yep, they're taking them on up front, and quite rightly so. You know, we've got to tie these boys in and get some forward momentum.
Oh, they made a right mess of that, South Africa, because Cobus Reinach got sucked into that maul, and legally the Tongans had come all the way through it and had reached around and got a hand on it. And as a consequence, Reinach goes to the skies with the box kick. Grant Williams chases. Inisi gathers but loses the ball, but backwards. And it's tidied up then by the Tongans behind their 10-metre line, trailing as they are here by 21 points to 8. Live on rugbyworldcup.com and through the official World Cup app, and on BBC 5 Sports Extra. Fifita is knocked over by a flying Sia Kolisi, and the ball has made its way out once again to Inisi on this right-hand touchline, who this time loses his footing as he tries to thread the kick through, and it'll be a South African line out just inside their half on the left-hand side.
Well, quite tidy interplay by the Tongans there, working their way down the sideline. They seem to get themselves out of problem areas just by using the ball. Some unbelievable tackles going in here.
Some acrobatic stuff for sure. And South Africa looking to gain some sort of territorial foothold, which has been hard to come by so far. Auri with the line-out possession. Here's Fourie in the midfield. Moves it on to Esterhuizen, who once again takes the contact from Havili and drives up to the 10-metre line. Reinach just fizzing around the ruck, bringing in Jesse Creel. Beyond the 10-metre line in the middle of the field. Vincent Koch, good line speed here from the Tongans, just holding up their man in the tackle. He turns and Talatui has to move away. And here comes Willie Leroux, threads the ball over the top and manages to pick out Grant Williams, who's very, very speedy. Half through a hole and almost up to the 22-metre line. Here comes Oxenche. Rather a different approach from the loose head prop. And still they move the ball. Vincent Koch almost finding himself in space. Good tackle made by Payar. And they've lost possession of the ball here, South Africa have they? Oh, Reinach first onto it. And they set up the ruck just inside that 22. Creel plays 9. Vincent Koch, the ball carrier now for South Africa as they build through the phases. Carried on by Auri. And it's there for Reinach. And Etzebeth is there to help with the clear out of Dion Fourie. Quick ball for Pollard, the inside ball this time, looking for some space. There isn't any, and Jasper Wiese is wrapped up in the tackle. Esterhuizen tries to barrel his way forwards, and Tonga handle him very delicately and usher him into touch. Combination of Havili and Fekitoa and Inisi. And when you're dealing with Andre Esterhuizen, you kind of need to put 3 men on him.
At least 3 men. I mean, that was fantastic patience by Tonga. What a series of defensive hits they made there on South Africa. They were really stretched. They took them wide, and then they pounded away. They're starting to get back into their groove, and I'm actually not sure how long Tonga can last at this sort of velocity.
Yeah, that's going to be the challenge, isn't it? Over the long term. 3 men coming in to deal with the threat of Andre Esterhuizen.
South Africa, 1 and 3, change please.
Oh, 2 new props coming on.
1 and 3.
So Nche and Vincent Koch coming off for South Africa, replaced by Stephen Kitsoff and Trevor Nyakane. So changes being rung very early on in this second period. Only 44 minutes on the clock.
Very early. Very clearly they're not happy with the ball carrying ability and the speed of the ball that they're getting from the rucks and mauls. Need fresh type 5 players on there to hit these rucks and clear the ball quickly.
Massive amount of experience obviously coming off the bench. And Che is going off for a head injury assessment. That's why Kitsoff is with us. Kitsoff winning his 80th cap tonight. Nyakane in his 3rd World Cup, winning his 66th. But first a line out to attend to, a Tongan line out. And Nguamo is waiting, goes right towards the tail. Oh, it's won by South Africa. And Vermeulen smuggles it away to Dion Fourie. He's wrapped up in the tackle by Halafanua. Out it comes for Etzebeth. 10 metres out from the try line here. Jasper Wiese goes to ground. Oh, he's knocked it on. And Tonga once again rewarded for their defensive efforts.
Wiese will be upset with himself there. They were just starting to rumble, South Africa. They're just starting to get into the groove. Tonga have got to get out of their own 22 at the moment. They're making mistakes. That line out that goes to pieces when really pressured by South Africa fell apart there. And they just need to get the ball from this scrummage and clear their lines, get out of there.
Great bit of work at the line out by Marvin Auri.
He's athletic. He's a real athlete. They get him up high and he's good with his arms in the air, gets himself into great positions.
So a scrum on account of the Wiese knock-on to the Tongans, 7 metres out from their try line. Big noisy support inside the stadium for South Africa, for Tonga, but you sense also a lot of French in here who would be willing on the underdog tonight as Cobus Reinach comes round offside to try to take the ball out of the hands of Sione Talatui, and that's allowed
In front of the ball, number 9.
Tonga precious breathing space.
Exactly. I mean, he didn't need to do that, Reinach. He would have just stay back behind the ball, put the pressure on when the pass is made. Don't give Tonga a cheap out.
Havili from the middle of the park. That's a hefty boot up to their 10-metre line for a Tongan line out. They're taking a little bit of time to get over there, aren't they, Dick? You mentioned the fatigue factor. It surely will play its part here.
Well, it's bound to a certain extent. You know, you've got guys. Look, most of them are professional, but you know, they're struggling. It's hot. They've been under the cosh. Bit of pressure on them. They're having to make more and more tackles.
And Guamo to Paya, and Pitaraki putting a huge amount of width on the ball, trying to get it into the hands of Fine Inisi as much as possible, and he's belted it downfield where it's picked up inside the South African 22 by Grant Williams, who just wants to run. He's born to run, and he has to go in to help with the clear out here. Khaleesi is assisting as well, and Ryanak waits and feeds Stephen Kitsoff, man who's joining Ulster next season after a couple of seasons with Bordeaux.
I'll do the counting, thank you.
Ryanak with the clearance from the 22. It's hanging for a long time, claimed well by Tuitavuki on halfway, and South Africa win the penalty.
Number 14 off feet, killed the contest.
And that was Inisi, who failed to hold his own body weight, and again with bleached hair in the way that he has, he's not going to get away with much at the breakdown, you would suggest.
It's a common occurrence. You know, you want to get over your mate who's on the floor, and there's a tendency to collapse over the top of him, and of course you're sealing the ball off, and you know the opposition don't have any chance whatsoever of getting anywhere near it, and he's just flopped off his feet right over the top of the ball, and he can't do that.
So pressure here on the Tongans. South Africa leading by 21 points to 8. Live on rugbyworldcup.com via the World Cup app and on BBC 5 Sports Extra. Fourie picks out Ori, and away goes Ryanak, and here comes Pollard leaving the ball for the inside man, who is Kainan Moody. He's blasted down to earth with a huge tackle. His kit's off again on the carry. Camped inside the Tongan 22. Need to find the ruthless edge here. Visa muscles it away to Niakane, and they're 5 metres out, South Africa. Still those tackles pour in from those dressed in white and red, and Visa is just 2 metres short on a short angle. Picked up by Fourie, driven again to within a couple of metres. Close range they go. Creel has made it there. Jesse Creel pops up, grabs it from the base of the ruck, and wriggles his way over the line. That's the bonus point for South Africa. 4 tries in the bank, and they should take 5 points away from this contest, but with half an hour still to play, South Africa leads by 26 points to 8.
Well, I would call that classic South African rugby, where big forwards were just taking the ball up. They were winning the ball quickly at the breakdown. One out runners, people taking the ball at pace, getting across the gain line, producing it beautifully, technically superb, offloading the ball on occasions, and just keeping the opposition guessing all the time, keeping the ball moving and going forward. And really that's what South Africa are all about. It's the first time tonight that they've really got into their stride, and my goodness, they look a force when they do it.
Andre Pollard, 8 metres in from the right-hand side, and on target with all of his conversions so far tonight. There's another one as South Africa open up a 20-point advantage. Pollard kicking everything in sight, and they've replaced Jasper Visa with Hwaka Smith in the back row. And interestingly now, 2 new halfbacks coming on. Ryanak and Pollard coming off, and Jaden Hendrickse and Mani Libbok are coming on for the remaining half hour. So 50 minutes navigated for Andre Pollard, and I suppose he will rest his case at this point and see whether that's enough to convince Jacques Nienaber that he should start a quarter-final when and if they get there.
Well, I think he's probably first name on the team sheet next week or the week after, whenever they go down to the business end of the tournament. If they do, He's booked his spot.
4 from 4 from the tee.
He might not play the whole 80.
28 points to 8.
16.
The South Africans lead.
Use it, South Africa, please.
Tonga have brought on Adam Coleman in place of Sam Losi in the second row. As the box kick goes high from Hendrickse, and it's very well taken by Charles Pietau, but he's straight to ground and he's injured.
Hang on, just stay down, just stay down a sec.
He's uncomfortable. He's being dragged to his feet
Hang on, just see the
by
physio here.
Eben Etzebeth. He's quickly up to his feet on account of that, and
right? Sorry,
seems
I
to be
thought
fine
so.
actually. Luke Pearce, I think, thought he was badly injured on landing on account of the fact that
So,
when he came down to earth, he managed to
time off, please.
collide with Etzebeth's shoulder, who
We've
was
seen a replay on the screen. It looks to be like there is a shoulder to the head, but it's just a penalty at the moment. Okay, pop it on the screen, please.
Okay, Luke. We'll have a look at that now. I'll get the angles queued up for you.
Thank you.
The key
Give me
will
a sec,
be-
lads, and I'll come back to you.
the key will be whether Etzebeth was actually challenging for the ball here, Dick, don't you think?
Well, I think Charles Pietau or Salisi Pietau
Here comes your first
came
angle now.
down and collided with Etzebeth, who wasn't actually competing for the ball. He just happened to be there. It was another classic rugby incident.
Well, I tell you what, this isn't too dissimilar from the Tom Curry situation.
No, it's not. But it's the whole goalposts have moved since that's it. You know, they've realised that perhaps they're being a bit harsh about this. This is a rugby incident,
So,
in my opinion.
This is how I'm seeing it. It is foul play because he's upright. I'm seeing it as a minimum yellow card because, yes, it's direct.
I'm not seeing that because the white players are interfering with him.
So just on penalty?
He jumps into his space.
I agree with the two boys there.
Just a penalty. Thank you. So we're on penalty only, lads. Are happy with that? Okay, nice. See ya. Just be careful in the chase, please. It's just a penalty here.
Interesting. Luke Pearce was initially thinking yellow card, as you heard. Christoph Ridley, who's his assistant, suggested that actually he thought there was enough mitigation for that simply to be a penalty. And Brett Cronin, who's our TMO tonight, agreed with Christoph Ridley. So Etzebeth stays on the field, and Tonga will have a penalty from just inside their half as they change their scrum half. Pulu is off, and Sonati Takalua.
I'm pleased about that.
Comes
You know,
on.
I don't want to see players leaving the field red or yellow, but you know, good work by the management team. Etzebeth, he is an enforcer. He's a tough player, but that wasn't dirty play or rough play.
I think the important thing that you mentioned there, Dick, is the fact that it was a team decision, and they are supposed to be working as a foursome, and I think that's exactly what you saw there a moment or two ago as Ben Tamafuna comes rumbling around on the front peel again, and Tonga are launching another attack 7 metres out from the try line. Paya has a crack, and they are trying to get their big pull carriers into the action here. Takalua is waiting to try to release Tamafuna again, who rumbles to the left and within sight of the post. Takalua again, great pressure from Tonga. They're throwing everything at this, and Fekatoa is not too far away.
Goal line, South Africa.
Still they search for the ball. Those white shirts, red shorts, white socks stream over the top of it. Takalua wants it. South Africa slow it. Tamafuna again is shut down. Just 2 metres out from the try line. Still they go. Still they're repelled. South Africa having to throw everything at this defensive shift. Takalua for Peter Aki. Now then, potentially a bit of width. Havili to Anisi. That's an outstanding try. It really is top class. They've gone hard from 5 metres out, again and again. They've sucked in all the South African defenders, and then they've slung it wide for Anisi. A first international try, Tonga's second of the night.
Well, they've done exactly the same thing as South Africa, Tonga. They've taken the ball out, big forwards, getting over the gain line, producing relatively quick ball, making yardage all the time, and really testing this South African defence. and then beautiful passing to put the winger Anisi, who's looked one of the best backs I've seen in this competition. He looks a great finisher. That was world class.
Top class try. And again, just great to see sides like Tonga getting reward for their pressure, reward for their attacking efforts, their variety of attack as well.
They could have had 2 or 3 of these in the first half.
50,
a bit more composure.
55th minute of the match, and Havili is looking to bend this one in from wide of the post, but it drifts wide, and South Africa lead by 28 points to 13. Fine Inisi on the occasion of his first World Cup start. Born in New Zealand, like so many of the Tongans.
Hold on, please wait there a second. Number 3, White.
And you've got to be thinking to yourself here, how much that loss against Ireland has affected South Africa.
Perfect. Good game, well done.
Just seem to be a little bit off it, don't they? As we see a couple of changes being made. Oxenche returns for South Africa on the loose head. Ben Tamafuna's coming off to riotous applause all around this Velodrome Stadium here in Marseille. The hulking figure makes a rather weary trudge towards his bench, and he's been replaced by Sosefo Apikotoa on the tight head. Hendrickson with an advantage for the box. Wide goes Leroux. Dwayne Vermeulen is being manhandled on the 22-metre line, which is quite a statement because he's a big old unit. Hendrickson again into position. Marnie Libbok moves the ball on to Kwaka Smith, who makes ground approaching the 22. Etzebeth banged over in the tackle, this time by Apikotoa. Leroux.
Advantage for no arms from 18 White.
And Apikotoa has
no arms, 18.
Fallen foul of the officials, so the penalty, which Libbok is lining up here,
18,
and
no arms.
He'll just crack this inside the 22. Yeah, he's taken aim at the 5-metre line, and he's nailed his mark. And there just seems to be a slightly, how would you call it, Dick? A frustrated edge to the box now. They know they've got to get a job done here and preferably rack up a few points. The bonus points in the bag, they're unlikely to lose, but they've been rattled a little bit.
They have been, and I think the sort of introduction of Libbok to spice things up and move the ball around and let some of these South African backs have some decent ball, because we've hardly seen them apart from the Esterhuizen.
Right old muddle at line-out time as well. It's gone forwards from South Africa. The ball was not claimed clean by Auri. Adam Coleman got in amongst it, as you'd expect him to, and disrupted that set piece. Very tall man, huge experience, 38 caps for Australia, and one of those, of course, benefiting from the changes to the eligibility ruling. If you haven't won a test cap for 3 years, you can play for another nation for whom you are qualified, and in Coleman's case that was Australia previously. His father actually captained Tonga back in the day, but others in that bracket include Malakai Fekitoa, former All Black, of course, Charles Pietau similarly, and Augustine Pulu, who represented New Zealand back in 2014. So they're using their resources wisely, and the intervention of Adam Coleman absolutely critical at that line-out time. And I suppose
it's
also
good work there. I mean, you don't see South Africa lose many line-outs.
I was going to talk about that particular moment, Dick, because it wasn't dissimilar to the moment against the Irish when Dion Fourie, having come onto the field for Bongi Mbonambi, had to nail the line-out against the Irish and didn't. And this is the gamble. These are the stakes they're playing with, these South Africans. They only have one specialist hooker in Mbonambi. And they're playing with fire, in my view, having Dion Fourie and Marco van Staden as stand-ins.
Well, you've got to be careful. My view is you've got to have specialists. You've got to have specialists at 8, 9 and 10, and at 2, the spine of the team, 15. You need guys there who know what they're doing. They control the game for you.
Scrum to Tonga, 5 metres out from their try line, which they will hope to clear. Takalua using Peter Aki, who's dropped the ball. He's dropped the ball, and the ball is there now for Jesse Creel, who's putting width on it, and it's been spread wide, and it's Willie LaRue who's darting towards the try line, and he's scoring in the corner. An error from the Tongans. Peter Aki letting the ball come free, and the South Africans pouncing in all of that space.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. Peter Aki losing the ball in contact like that. Quick turnover, move the ball wide, and you'd have to say that Willie LaRue, fantastic finish. You know, he was put into space. It wasn't easy. He had to beat people, and he had to get the ball down over the line. But he had a lot of work to do. Wonderful play. And how old is he? 34? Doesn't look it.
Yeah, that's right, 34 years old, third World Cup, and a try and 3 assists against the Romanians. He's a man of enormous experience. I would suggest that the South Africans will be watching this conversion rather more carefully than they might under normal circumstances, because Mani Libok is lining this up, and to this point he's kicked 3 from 7 at this World Cup.
Is there a wager on this?
2 critical penalties missed against the Irish, which, well, in amongst a handful of other factors, certainly contributed to their downfall in Paris. So Libok from 4 metres in from the South African left. He's right-footed, white boots, steps up, gives it a good crack, and he's drilled it through the middle. Outstanding kick.
Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. It's a bit like, okay, you've brought Pollard on, you've given him sort of 50 minutes, now you can see what I can do. I can do this.
35 points to 13, and just a handful of really interesting, delicious little subplots, aren't there, to the South African challenge this year, to the defence of their crown, given the way they are operating quite often with their bench, as we saw against the Irish, as the ball is knocked on by the Tongans, and South Africa have a penalty just outside their 22. The bench situation, the hooker situation, the 10 situation, and there are critics of South African rugby who say that they're being incredibly arrogant by fielding one specialist hooker and mixing and matching with their goal-kicking situation.
Or they're being brilliantly innovative by doing this. It's, they're saying, we just want our best players on the field to a certain extent. We don't care what position they're in, but they're not necessarily specialists.
It's going to be very interesting to see if they can carry it off all the way to the crown.
Well, let's wait and see when it comes to the business end what they go for.
Yeah, the quarterfinals onwards, very different kettle of fish. The standard is going to be raised several notches. South Africa expected to qualify in second place, potentially against the French in the quarterfinal. A scrum penalty here to Tonga.
Loose head on the floor.
They're pumped. They're pumped about that. They're really, really excited, the front row players, to get something off it. Nkani and Kitsoff.
Well, big one that for Joe Apikotoa up against Kitsoff, and as a result, Havili will have the opportunity to kick deep inside the South African 22 for a Tongan line out. Really interesting.
It's quite right. The South Africans are down on their knees there. They're a little bit long in the leg.
A pensive Totai Kefu in the Tongan coaching box. These are the games that get me out of bed, he said, ahead of this contest. And you can understand why, as we see another change being made for South Africa. Franco Mostert is on for Marvin Ori. Mostert winning his 70th cap tonight. And straight into the line out here, where he'll have to be on defensive detail. Sam Molly sends it up, and the ball is taken in by Tonga. Takalua waits. He's got Fifita for company, and Fifita's making good ground. 8 metres out from the try line here. Penalty South Africa though. Tonga refusing to release the ball on the deck, and Kwagga Smith, needless to say, at the heart of things for the South Africans, causing trouble on the deck.
Yeah, well, Kwagga Smith, one of the best jacklers in the business. You have to say, you know, really a guy like that. Do South Africa have a lot of those players? Khaleesi, of course, we know is pretty good at it. Visa can do a bit of it. They can all do a bit of it. But Kwagga Smith is a real specialist.
So line out to South Africa, won by Etzebeth. And the rumble is on, the drive, making ground up to halfway. Slow but steady at this point. Marco van Staden has come on at hooker, which I think means they probably moved Dion Fourie into the back row. Lovely ball from Kwagga Smith, releasing Jesse Creel, who moves up to the 22-metre line. Smith, who got that offload away just as he was being dragged down to the ground. Quick ball here from Libbok, and indeed from Willie Leroux. And Kanan Moody's throwing the dummy, and he's brought down just a couple of metres short. Here's van Staden with another South African try. Well, they've struck from deep on that occasion. Terrific work. Kwagga Smith it was who began the operation. Some quick handling, a lovely little run from Kanan Moody, and Marco van Staden with his first try for South Africa.
Great support play. Great back play by the South Africans, moving the ball very sweetly into space, giving people the opportunity to run. Lots of support, great skills. Everybody looking to offload. Kwagga Smith, very, very evident in it. And Jesse Creel, who's just a powerful machine. And van Staden, who's only just been on the field for a moment, finishing it off with terrific support play. Exactly what you want a substitute to do. Come on. Inject some pace into it. Well worked try by South Africa, and they go in fits and starts, don't they, South Africa? They burst into life and then they go back into the slumber for 5 minutes.
And that's probably okay against the Tongans, but it won't be against the French, it won't be against the Irish, it won't be against the All Blacks.
No, because those people don't miss chances, do they? Not the sort of chances that Tonga have had tonight.
This is true. 5 metres in from the right-hand side of touch. Libbok here, looking to add to the South African total. And he's knocked this over as well. 2 from 2 tonight for the man who missed on 2 occasions against the Irish. Back on form from the tee. And South Africa leading now by 42 points to 13 here in Marseille in Pool B. 6 tries now for the Springboks and 15 minutes to pile a few more points on top of that total.
Yeah, he's not giving up his test spot, is he, Libbok, without a fight. Full credit to him.
The restart lands, not taken cleanly by Mostert of South Africa, but it's gone backwards and tidied up by Fourie, who's operating in the back row now with van Staden at hooker. Those 2 flankers, makeshift hookers, as we've explained. Crossfield on the aerial from South Africa. It's bounced off a shoulder and wound up with Libbok of South Africa. Goes crossfield looking to pick out Kanan Moody. Instead he finds Pietau to Havili on the Tongan 10-metre line. He goes crossfield with the kick. Huge kick downfield, looking for the 50-22, and he might just have got it. He might just have got that. Did he kicked that from his half, didn't he?
I think he did.
Yep.
I think he did. What have they given?
The arm is outstretched in Tonga's direction. It's a 50-22 from Havili. Fantastic. He was well behind halfway, actually.
Yeah.
And as a consequence, it kind of was eventually drifted into touch via the body of Willie Leroux, who had to come racing across. 14 minutes remaining.
I know there's a huge points difference, but they're still in the fight, Tonga, in terms of producing the goods, aren't they? They're still having a go.
Up goes Talatui with the line-out ball, and Takalua finding Peter Aki, and again wide to Inisi. This bleach blonde winger who's made such an impact tonight. Out it comes, recycle quickly for Halafanua in the middle of the pitch. 5, 6, 7 metres or so inside the South African 22. Good run from Sione Velanu, the former Saracens and Wasp man. But over the ball go South Africa, and they've won the turnover from the Jackal. Not releasing here.
One person was cleared out.
The Tongans.
On the ball.
A little bit of light relief for South Africa.
Disappointing Tonga there. I mean, they had enough players at the breakdown. They were just technically poor at the breakdown. They weren't looking to see where their opposition were to clear out. They had 4 or 5 players actually at the breakdown, and you can't do that.
I don't agree with that.
And that's the South Africans now who are taking their time to get to the halfway line. We've got a couple of gentlemen standing up in the crowd because they're on the big screen dressed as Teletubbies. Why wouldn't you be?
In this heat?
Come on, Dick, I can see you in a suit like that. You could carry that
I'm
off.
certainly a Teletubby.
South Africa in possession beyond the 10-metre line, leading by 42 points to 13. Libbok clutches that ball from the sky, and then it goes forwards from Leroux, who looks baffled and befuddled and entirely unhappy with that decision. Luke Pearce was bang in line and was in no doubt.
That's unlike Leroux. I mean, he's one of the great distributors. He really is. The try assists, he's been around so far in this tournament. Yeah, the wing just gets in front. Well, the wing was behind actually, but the pass was forward.
Yeah, the pass was a long way forwards. And made to look a little bit worse because he kind of jammed the brakes on as he gave the ball, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
So a scrum to Tonga just inside the South African half. 12 minutes to play. Malachi Fekitoa has made way for Afosipa Taumapeo. Very versatile player, played a lot of sevens with the Australians actually initially, and he started all across the back division for Tonga.
Fine.
Looks to be installed in the centres in place of Fekitoa here. In goes the ball from Takalua. It's being controlled by Velanu. Big secondary shove though from South Africa. It's enough for the scrum penalty. And that's come courtesy of Stephen Kitsoff, who's really piled the heat on there.
Yes, he has. He's giving Apatoa a hard time in the front row at tight head. He's a bit long in the back and long in the legs, Apatoa.
And a big kick downfield, taking the South Africans back inside the Tongan 22, just about. Sia Khaleesi up on his feet to applaud the scrum penalty. Now resting his bones.
Receiver is 2.
Van Staden under the spotlight with his line-out darts now. Reaching up is Etzebeth. That was slick. And the maul is formed. And South Africa go to work on the drive.
Stop, South Africa!
Not getting a much change out of this Tongan pack, though. Hendricks is going to have to act here. Only a very short blind side to work with, so to the open side they go. And Esterhuizen, who thought he wasn't held,
Tackle was complete, never released the ball.
was in fact held in the eyes of the referee, so
Yes,
had
he
to release
was.
the ball
Let
and
go of
didn't.
the ball.
Knees were on the
Yeah.
ground. I'm afraid you've got to release the ball. Can't just jump up again.
Remarkable, isn't it, that South Africa don't really seem to need to call on Andre Esterhuizen too much, with Dale Ende and Creel the first choice centre pairing. No Lukanya Arm, of course, here at the World Cup of 2023. He was injured and unavailable for selection. And Esterhuizen, who pulls up trees in the Gallagher Premiership for Harlequins almost every week, is surplus to requirements much of the time for the box.
I think he's incredibly unlucky to have two brilliant centres in front of him, and as you said, Lukano Am, who's also a world-class player, who's unfortunately injured and not involved in this.
10 minutes to play. South Africa 42, Tonga 13. Sam Molly, the replacement hooker. And the line-out ball is 1, and Vailanu's crashing over the halfway line. Takalua goes to the left, and Hendrickson is sniffing for the intercept. Instead, he's having to switch back into defensive mode. And Takalua fishes the ball out on the South African 10-metre line. Tau Koloamatangi has come on and is putting his shoulder to the wheel as well, alongside Patrick Pellegrini. All the replacements now sprung from the Tonga bench as they work it on halfway. Big challenge coming in from Mostert. Velanu again, getting through quite a lot of carrying work, having just arrived. Takalua gathers the ball, but then has to do a little somersault.
Ball is here.
Couldn't quite get it away, and South Africa have stolen it on the ground. And in pile those green and gold shirts. Leroux, whipped wide by Libbok. Here's Hendrikse, fires the ball northwards via the grubber, where Pietau waits for it. That was an ill-advised kick, really, or rather ill-directed. And Pietau's kick finds Libbok, who skips past one defender and now releases Grant Williams. And then the attack comes to nothing on the 10-metre line. Swept up by Pellegrini of Tonga. He puts the chip kick through, chasing after this himself, Pellegrini. Oh, he's gathered it! Pellegrini has it! And Pellegrini scores! An unbelievable try for Tonga. He can hardly believe it.
He can hardly believe it. They'll be going mad in Coventry. What a score. It's now starting to really open up now. Libbok, that's what Libbok does, isn't he? He opens the game up, he starts running, uses players around him. Unfortunately, the ball went awry and Tonga came back. Brilliant counter-attack. Wonderful work by Pellegrini.
Well, the Libbok pass to Grant Williams, who then left it hanging, and then they were so swift on the counter, weren't they? And Pellegrini just whipping his way down that left-hand touchline, chipped. Got a lucky bounce, it must be said, but you know what? You make your own luck in this game. And Patrick Pellegrini, who's never scored for Tonga, has come up with an absolute screamer in only his 4th Test match. You mentioned Coventry, that's where he plays his rugby, born and raised in Sydney, and now he's going to have a crack at converting it himself. It's kind of boys' own stuff, really, isn't it?
Unbelievable. He'd be so pleased. And he's a good player, you know. He's actually better than the Championship. Should be playing in the Premiership in England. Coventry have done really well to hang on to him.
13 metres in from the left-hand side of the field. Pellegrini, no, he's hooked that left. And so the score now, South Africa 42, Tonga 18. As we see one more replay on the big screen of the magic of Patrick Pellegrini. He chipped over the top of Dwayne Vermeulen, and he seemed to be some way off the bounce, but it just hung in the air enough for him to scurry onto it and then skip over the line to score. Brilliant stuff.
Good for Tonga and good for this game.
6 minutes to play. And they're still playing inside their 22. That surely went forwards from the Tongans. Somehow they've been allowed to continue, and Pietau is racing over the 10-metre line. Here's Anisi, dribbles it forward. Well, superbly picked up by Jesse Creel on the 5-metre line for South Africa. I'm not sure how that was allowed to continue from the 22. I think Luke Pearce must have been unsighted.
I think it bounced off a South African player, I'm not sure.
We might get another look at that in a moment or two. I might have done Luke Pearce a disservice, so apologies to him if that's the case. South Africa here, just 3 metres out from their own try line. And Hendrikse effecting the clearance kick under some pressure.
Yes, breathing a sigh of relief, South Africa. All of a sudden Tonga have come alive.
Well, the ball that I was mentioning in midfield, yeah, you're quite right. It came off Kainan Moody's hand, and as a consequence there was a lot of space on the right hand side, and Charles Pietau made the most of it.
Hold there, please.
But for the excellent skills of Jesse Creel, South Africa could have been in an awful lot more bother there. 5 minutes to play. South Africa 42, Tonga 18. And a line out to the Tongans inside that South African 22. Fired away to Peter Aki, who's brought down in the midfield by Mani Libbok. But still they move forwards through Velanu. And Tonga are finishing so strong here. Takalua drives to within a handful of metres. Fifita and Halafanua continuing the motion. Waiting here is Taumapeu, takes it on his knees. Driven back by Esterhuizen. What a good tackle that is. Well back behind the gain line. Takalua regroups. And onwards goes Fifita again. Coleman helping out with the clear out. So good to see this strong finish from the Tongans. Takalua waits. Halafanua again. He worked so hard in the back row this evening. Pellegrini hoping to shuffle his way through heavy traffic.
No, not yet.
10 metres out from the try line now, Tonga.
Okay, use.
Still in possession of the ball. Crowd urging them on. Coleman caught it for extra bodies, extra support. Fifita with another pick and go. And a penalty to South Africa.
18.
And Kwagga Smith again over the top of the ball. That's his second turnover of the match. And the Tongans frustrated, so too the crowds, who were hoping for more Tongan magic.
They didn't like that at all, did they?
Huge
The
clearance.
crowd.
Monstrous clearance up to the Tongan
They
10
won't lie
metre
down,
line.
will they? They won't lie down, Tonga. They're still in the fight. They're still having a go. Terrific guts.
Well, this their penultimate pool match. They've got Romania in Lille next Sunday. And they worked so hard to get here. They had to go through qualifying, had to beat Hong Kong last year to make it to the World Cup. And they're intent on making the most of it. And they've done just that here tonight. Line-out ball goes over the top. And
No rock on.
Fourie whips it with a 25-metre pass out to Creel, who makes the 10-metre line inside the Tongan half. 2.5 minutes remaining. Libok, another big missed pass, this time out to Moody. This time the chip and chase, but he's run into Inisi and fallen over. The ball is gathered after the clearance from Libok.
He's put his foot into touch first.
And we've
So
got
it'll be South Africa ball where you are.
a foot in touch and a South African line out on the 22-metre line. So one last flourish potentially here for the Springboks.
Well, the game has just gone harem-scarem in the last sort of 10 minutes. People giving it everything they've got. Springboks wanting to score points. They're looking for points to make a huge points difference. The Tonga's just showing an unbelievable fight and guts. And they keep going. They keep going at it.
And the South African line-out has gone awry again, all over the top, but this time it's been knocked forwards by Tonga, and they are given some sort of light relief here. I'm not sure they're going to be overly pleased with the way Marco van Staden's throwing in, though.
Well, you can see that it's causing problems now, isn't it? They're just giving up line-out ball, South Africa, which is what they're not used to. They're normally round about the 95 to 100% lineouts, and now they're giving up all sorts of possession because their hookers are just not up to it.
Well, their hookers are flankers.
Well, exactly. It's not that easy throwing in, is it?
Dangerous game. Very, very dangerous game. They're playing with fire, there's no doubt about it, and you just wonder if they'll come unstuck in the knockout stages with this policy. They have a scrum on the Tongan 22 as we move into the final minute of the match. Here's Esterhuizen again, another huge tackle from Pellegrini. The ball is recycled and Mostert is on the carry. It's there for Hendrickse, just inside that 22. Kitsoff drops the shoulder and drives into the white shirts of Tonga, who've defended manfully today. They've been caught once or twice, and there have been some excellent tries scored by the South Africans, but it has not been a complete performance by any stretch.
No.
Van Staden goes to ground, and Velanu has to give up the challenge. Fourie is battered, quite literally battered, 1.5 meters backwards in the tackle, but preserves the ball, and Etzebeth carries it now. 20 seconds remaining on the clock. South Africa through Niakani,
Okay, tackle.
looking to add a 7th try to their tally tonight. The points difference at the moment standing at 24 the margin this evening. Maybe there will be some more. Esterhuizen is so close, tumbling onwards. Now they're within range. Mostert is just 1 metre out, and there are options left and right. The South Africans are queuing up for it. Kitsoff doesn't have sufficient yardage to gain ahead of steam. Etzebeth doing his level best. Hendrickse now to Mostert again. 1 metre shy of the line. Tonga giving up the penalty, and Quacker Smith does it. Smith goes over for the 7th of the night. It's right by the right-hand upright, which means there will be 2 further points, and South Africa finish strong.
Yeah, very strong finish. Once again, South African forward play at its best. Just big forwards, punching it up, one-out runners, all getting across the gain line, all producing the ball, good technique, and Quagga Smith finishes it off. Must have been the 7th or the 8th ball carrier.
And the final act
Tries all clear.
of this match will be performed by Mani Libok, who will be very pleased to see that this conversion is right in front of the posts. And that means he's kicked 3 from 3 tonight, which will cheer the South Africans. You suggest as much as the bonus point win, as much as the return of Andre Pollard. They are all smiles out there because they've got it done here in Marseille, and they now top Pool B with 15 points, 1 clear of the Irish, who play Scotland next weekend in Paris in an absolute humdinger. But here tonight, the South Africans with 7 tries, and they've run out winners by 49 points to 18.
Yeah, superb win. Tremendous effort by Tonga, who many people wrote off before this game. And I have to say they showed incredible spirit and courage, and no little effort to take on this South African side. They stayed in the fight despite the disparity in the score. They played some good rugby, and they showed what wonderful participants in this World Cup they are. They've got 1 to go. Hopefully they'll finish on a high note against Romania. But it was brilliant to watch a game of this stature. South Africans, lots of work to do.
Lots of work to do, Dick. And where particularly do you think they'll be concerned?
I think they're going to be concerned about the line out. It's not working. They can't. They're doing it in fits and starts in their play. They play for 5 minutes really well. Their approach work is fantastic, and then they fall asleep for a while and they let the other team play, and they just they seem to be focusing and concentrating on their defence, and then all of a sudden they burst into life again and score another try. They're not ruthless enough, in my opinion. They can't seem to get an 80-minute performance going from start to finish. But full credit to the Tongans, who more than got in the way this evening. They really gave it everything, and it was mightily impressive from the captain downwards.
Player of the match is Dion Fourie, and to present the trophy, Lizzie.
Dion Fourie, the starting hooker for South Africa, the MasterCard player of the match tonight. He's receiving his award now, and we can hear from him.
Congratulations. A lot of pressure on you heading into this game. No recognised hooker in the side. How did you find it out there?
No, it was a good game. It was tough. We expected a tough game, and I think I played hooker in my previous career, so earlier clear. So it wasn't too bad, but it went well today, and I'm glad it went well.
How have you found the transition to playing that role at international level?
Yeah, I trained the last 2 years with the box, and our motto in the box camp is like we train hard like a game, and I think that paid dividends today.
And it gives you another string as well, being able to go back into the back row like you did today with Van Stouten coming on.
Yeah, I must say it's quite tough moving from hooker to flank. The body is old, but I still keep going, and it felt good. Yeah.
Well, you certainly did a great job. Congratulations.
Cheers, thanks.
Dion Fourie, the MasterCard player of the match at the age of 37. He made his debut last year when he was 35 years old, and he's come through today as the player of the match. We're about to see and hear from Ben Tamafuna.
You guys were after today, but the side showed a lot of heart. You must be proud of the performance.
Yeah, I would like to thank the Heavenly Father for bringing us all here today. It was like you said, it was a hard battle out there. This team, we don't have a lot, but the boys still turn up to this tough tournament, and to put a performance like that out, it shows to show where we were heading. Like you said, like South Africa is always, the best in the world. It's always tough to cross their line, and we managed to do that a few times tonight. So yeah.
You said in the lead up that you were looking forward to the physical battle of the forwards. How did you find that?
Yeah, with these kind of games, especially with the South Africans, we had to try and smack them right on the nose. We had to meet fire with fire, and I felt, the boys did that tonight. Obviously, we did it for longer phases. We could have came out with the result, but I'm pretty proud of the boys. Let's thank the crowd as well. They've been bloody awesome. Just let's just thank everyone, all your support. Now we've got to, recover well and look forward to next week.
Bad luck today.
Cheers, thank you.
And apologies for the language. Excitable, emotional. And Ben Tamafuna, the Tongan skipper, reflecting on defeat here today, but a magnificent effort, particularly from himself. He was a try scorer. Let's not forget the South Africans do not leak many tries, just one conceded in 3 matches before today. The Tongans scored 3 tonight, and that is enormously to their credit. Ben Tamafuna is now swapping shirts with Sia Khaleesi. I think there might be a little bit of space in that shirt for the South African skipper as he slips it on, and we'll be able to hear from Sia Khaleesi in a moment as well.
Sia, a really beautiful moment there, exchanging tops with Ben. It must have been a really beautiful moment.
Yeah, no, it was they're a great team. They're really hard to play against. They put everything on the line, and we knew it was going to be a tough game. But yeah, credit to them on their side and all the best for the tournament. But yeah, we're so grateful for supporters and our families, the people that came out to support us today. Hopefully we've done enough to qualify for the last round.
What did you make of the performance? Because it was a really hard-fought battle out there.
No, it was hard. We had to fight for it. We knew Tonga weren't just going to lay down and give it to them. We know everyone that plays against us want to give everything. Yeah, we made a couple of mistakes, a little bit of penalties we gave them there. But yeah, we fought till the end. We're really proud of the guys' effort.
And your 50th cap as captain, I know you spoke about it during the week, but just how special was it to be out there today?
No, it's always special. It doesn't matter what milestone. The biggest thing is that the team does well. I'm so grateful for that. I'm honored to be part of this special group. Yeah, and hopefully we can go all the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Sia Khaleesi, the South African captain for the 50th time tonight. And a lovely moment, which I'll tell you about in a minute, is that all the players on both sides linked arms in a circle on the halfway line a moment or two ago. But as they break up,
well, Jacques, a bonus point win. You've done everything you can do now. I guess it's just a matter of waiting.
Yeah, I think we will have to wait. I think the other pool gets sorted out on Friday night, and then our pool will be sorted out on Saturday night. So it's a waiting game for us.
There was some really creative coaching today with your hookers, and then of course Andre coming back into the side. What did you make? What did you take away from that?
Oh, listen, our hookers got some decent game time in a proper test match against good opposition. So it's one step closer and getting some experience but getting some game time in big games under their belt.
And just how important was it to get 50 minutes into Andre's legs tonight?
To get Andre?
50 minutes into his legs?
No, brilliant. I think, like I said, he only played 30 in a Premier Cup, so to get exposed to international rugby at 50 minutes, I think it's a nice stepping stone for him, and we can build it from here.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
Jacques Nienaber, the South African head coach, with a little bit of thinking to do, regardless of the 5 points secured here tonight. And next up, under the microphone, Totai Kefu, the Tongan head coach.
Not the result you guys were after today, but I'm assuming that there was a lot of positives to take out of that performance.
Yeah, most definitely. I think one of the main things we stressed before the game was putting a performance that everyone was proud of, and I think that was one of them.
Just how important is it for this side to have an experience against, a world champion on a big stage?
Yeah, it's really good. That's what rugby's all about, especially at this level. You want to play against the best. That's what makes the good players get out of bed. So it was a fantastic experience for everyone today.
And there's a lot to build on from this performance as well. You said pre-game that you wanted to see the backs really get involved, and they certainly looked like they did that tonight.
Yeah, look, our backs are our strength, and the forwards have been going really well as well. We're getting better and better. look, I really believe next week is probably going to be our best performance.
Good luck for next week.
Thank you.